Captain's log, stardate 99867.36. As we venture into the second half of our episodic mission to review Star Trek Picard Season 2, uncertain of the fates of Picard and his motley crew, I'm glad that I, Co-Captain Schaff, have my faithful friend and Co-Captain Vactor at my side on these perilous adventures through time and space aboard the USS TREKnological. Welcome back to TREKnological. This is Mission 7.
Yeah, sure.
Mission 7. And I am Co-Captain Schaff. With me in the on the bridge. Sitting next to me in our comfy captain chairs is my co-captain Vactor. How are you, Vactor?
Very well, Schaff. I want to wish you a happy birthday, and I can't wait to talk Trek.
Oh, yeah, me too. This has been a great week. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Your birthday's next week, so we'll get to enjoy that one next week. But a happy early birthday to you.
Thank you.
And also a happy first contact day, which was also my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there because I can. But yeah, no, it's been a great week, a crazy week in terms of Trek news. Lots of stuff to talk about. If you're just joining us, we are a Star Trek shakedown. As far as that, what that means for you is that we are two hardworking dads. And we love Star Trek. We try to fit it into our busy schedule of being dads, being faithful husbands, and we have obviously our day jobs and everything too. So we love to meet up every week, and we're talking about Star Trek Picard right now. We'll be covering Strange New Worlds when that one debuts next month. Yes. So lots of great stuff. Honestly, 2022 is like the year of Trek. I mentioned to Vactor the other day, we're in the middle of a Treknaissance.
Yeah.
And so there's so much to cover and not enough time to do it. But thank you so much for listening. We're glad you found us. At the very end of the episode, we'll give you all the places where you can find us in the social media and everything else. But one important thing to note is that we are part of a podcast network. Our parent podcast, the granddaddy of them all, is Geek So to Speak, and both myself and Vactor are also co-hosts on that.
Yes,
with Wonder Rob, who is our very best friend, and basically that's going to be like your source for all things geek news. And then we have our spin-off podcast. So we've got TREKnological for Star Trek. Yeah. We've got Holdo Maneuver, which Vactor is also a co-host of, with Cinemark, who is also part of the staff of Geek So to Speak. And that is for Star Wars. And then we've got Vactor Loves Comics, which is, as you guessed it, that's right, Vactor also co-hosts, or no, he hosts that one. And that one's going to be about comic books, what he's reading this past week. And we also have a video game podcast called The Sandbox Gamers, which is a lot of fun too. And Vactor is on that one.
Yeah.
So he's a busy man, but somehow he finds time for not just podcasting, but also his family and the things that matter. So this is real good stuff. So with that in mind, we have so much to cover and not a whole lot of time to cover it in. So let's go ahead and scan the planet's surface for any sign of Trek news.
What news article found, sir? Shall I display it on the main view screen?
Make it so. All right. Well, actually, it looks like Co-Captain Vactor, he saw the first article, but there are more than one. There's actually a ton of articles, and that's my bad because I didn't update the agenda script. So it is not Vactor's fault. But we have a lot of Trek news. I would say usually, Vactor, as far as Star Trek news goes, maybe there's like one article a week, 2 articles a week, but lately it's been like someone turned the faucet or the dial up to 11, and now it's just like Star Trek news is flooding the internet. So
and I love
it's
it,
a good
Sean.
thing. Yeah, I'm not upset. It just means we have a lot to cover. So we're going to be reading some headlines. We'll maybe give you a little bit of discussion on some stuff, but just a heads up on that. We'll also provide the links in our show notes in case you want to click on the article and read more about what we're talking about. So the first bit of news is, so Vector and I are both very much, I would say, pro NFT.
Yes.
We recognize that even though many people don't understand it, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that it's a thing that will probably be something very valuable in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. So it's better to be on the ground floor of something like that than to be wishing you had. And all the people who are making millions and millions of dollars off of Bitcoin and other virtual currency know that when you get in early, that's how you are able to enjoy and reap the benefits later. So Paramount is getting in on the NFTs, and they're going to be doing a partnership with a company called RECUR. And they're going to basically be launching some Star Trek NFTs on April 9th. So today is the 8th. So this episode will go live ideally the same day, provided I have time to edit it. But at the very worst, it'll be out tomorrow, Saturday the 9th. So it is completely timely news. If you want to get in on that, you're going to go to paramount.xyz, which is the online portal to access Paramount's iconic IP and cherished franchises in the form of NFTs. Now, it's not just going to be Star Trek. They're also going to be doing some Nickelodeon things, Comedy Central, MTV, BET, CBS, Showtime, and more. But Star Trek is going to be the first franchise to launch.
Nice.
Now, I'm curious, Vector, are you going to get in on this?
I think I will, Shoff, because I love a lot of these franchises, a lot of these properties that Paramount owns, especially Trek, as we're talking right now on the podcast. But Nickelodeon, I've got a soft spot for, MTV, BET, a lot of these networks, even VH1. You know, I grew up on all these networks, watching a bunch of these things, loving a lot of their properties. So I think I will try to get in on the ground floor, Shoff.
Well, then you better make sure you've got $250 set aside, because here's how it works. You're buying a pack, and the pack is $250. And what happens is called the Star Trek Continuum, and it's only a 24-hour deal on April 9th. But it's going to feature, and this is probably the coolest part of all, it's featuring I'm trying to say this word right. Algorithmically generated starships. So no two ships are going to be the same. So when you get an NFT, it's going to be a starship, but it is going to be completely like randomized in terms of like how the nacelles look. By the way, do you say nacelle or nacelle? Because there's no wrong answer. I'm just curious.
I say nacelle.
Nacelle. Okay. All right. So we're on other sides of the fence on that. That's all right. No problem. But yeah, so the saucer, all of that is going to be unique to the NFT. So I think that's a really cool thing.
That's crazy.
And then on, I guess during Star Trek Mission Chicago, which is happening right now, there's also going to be a star-studded panel, and they'll be talking about that as well. So this is season 0. So this is like the first season of the NFT launch. So if you want to get in on it, there's going to be 20,000 Star Trek digital collectibles and an additional 2,000 in reserve. So it's definitely going to be an exclusive thing and limited time only, and only so many available. So
as we were talking, Shoff, I just created my account. I'm ready to go. I don't have the $250, but I am ready just in case it gets dropped into my lap magically. I'm ready.
That's right. Go. You know, you've got a lot of boxes waiting for you. Maybe in one of those boxes at your house is $250.
Yeah.
Moving on to other Star Trek news, we've got some news about Chris Pine. So he opened up the other day about Star Trek 4, which is currently in pre-production, I guess you could say, and why the franchise has struggled compared to Marvel. So of course, he's got the Dungeons and Dragons things happening right now, but he was quoted as saying, conceptually, I love it. I love Star Trek. Again, I love the messaging of it. I love the character. I love my friends with whom I get to play. It's a great gig. I mean, it's a gig I've had working and not working for 15 plus years. It's cemented the career that I have now. I'm honored to be a part of it. But one thing that he was kind of going into about it is that he's like, I've always thought that Star Trek should operate in the zone that is smaller. You know, it's not a Marvel appeal. It's like, let's make the movie for the people that love this group of people, that love this story, that love Star Trek. Let's make it for them. And then if people want to come to the party, great. But make it for a price and make it so that if it makes $500 million, that's really good. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Vactor. So like he's calling out Marvel, which we both love Marvel. But we also love Star Trek too. And me personally, I think he's got a great point. Like, you shouldn't make Star Trek mainstream. It shouldn't be for everyone. It should be for those who really like Star Trek.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the way that they were going before, where it was trying to launch film franchises, wasn't working. And there was a reason why it wasn't working necessarily. The first movie, loved it. Each movie after that, for me, it just started to lose a little bit of quality, a little bit of novelty as each one went on. But with Paramount Plus, I think they're back to their roots. It started with a TV show. You and I both grew up loving all the TV shows, and then the movies as well. But I think the TV shows were the foundation and the rocks. And then you can tell stories in the film franchises and do things in that world. I think it isn't like Marvel necessarily, but Marvel's also now with Disney Plus, they're doing their TV show thing and they're kind of spreading out in that aspect as well. But the core Trek audience, I think, is small enough that you can just keep it on a streaming network and be good with it, that you don't necessarily have to appeal to every person on Earth. Like there's a nice core Trek fandom, and that's who we appeal to on this podcast. That's who's listening to us. And I think it belongs, I think they're in the right section now. The segment of the galaxy that they're in, they're on the right course right now.
I agree. Totally agree. And I mean, Star Trek is Paramount Plus's like prize winning pony, you know, like
right. And even before it was Paramount, remember it was CBS All Access, I think it was called.
Yeah, All Access.
The only reason I wanted it was for Trek, and they had the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone. That was the only reason I wanted it. Mm-hmm. But with Paramount, this whole new rebranding, even though it's like the exact same thing, the way that they kind of changed the colors around and changed the way it looks, the logo, everything, it just makes it feel like something new, even though I had both services. But I think Star Trek is the main draw on Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah, totally. Keeping things related to Paramount Plus, and an upcoming show on Paramount Plus is Strange New Worlds, and they dropped a new trailer this week. And we don't have time to break it down, but definitely we provided the link in our show notes. But what I will say, one thing that really stood out to me, Vactor, is the skin. So I mean, I guess it's no surprise that Captain Pike is a ladies' man, and that he's got at least one scene where he's shirtless and in bed with some hottie. So good for Captain Pike. He's taking his captain duties very seriously. But also Spock was getting in on it. He was kissing some chick too. So good for Spock. I mean, the whole crew, it looks like it's going to be a really fun show. It really does. As much as I love Picard, I'm almost more excited for what they're about to do with Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And even I'm not caught up on Discovery, but I feel like there's just some youthful energy that's missing from Picard that we have in these other shows, Strange New Worlds and Discovery. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm missing something from Picard, even though I'm enjoying it.
And I think another great thing about Strange New Worlds is where it's going to be episodic. So it's you don't necessarily have to be so invested in the overarching story. I'm sure there will be something like that, but each episode will be sort of all encapsulating, which is hearkening more to what Star Trek used to be and was a great thing too. Right. So,
which we've had to get from the Orville in current stuff. So yeah, I'm glad to be getting back to this.
Now, some news that came out on my birthday, on First Contact Day. what I mean, this was like a birthday present come true. Like this is like a dream of mine to see this happen again. And there was some Star Trek Picard season 3 news that came out, and it was announcing some additional characters or actors and actresses that were going to be joining the cast for season 3, which, as we've mentioned before on this podcast, they were filming them both back to back, seasons 2 and 3.
Right.
So, so now they're finishing up they probably already finished season 3, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
So now it's just a matter of waiting until that gets, that drops. But they announced who's going to be part of it. And I cannot express to you how excited I was about this news. But the returning cast of TNG. So we've got LeVar Burton, Geordie LaForge. We've got Michael Dorn, Worf. We've got Jonathan Frakes, Riker, Gates McFadden, Beverly Crusher, Marina Sirtis, Counselor Troy, Brent Spiner as maybe Data. I don't know. That's the one I would say wild card is we don't know what version he's going to be playing. Is he playing B4 perhaps from the events of Nemesis? Because they really haven't touched on B4 since that point.
Right.
And he was supposedly had some remnants of Data's memory engrams and everything, and he was starting to show signs of Data's personality. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe that's who they'll be bringing him in as. But it brought up a good question for me, Vactor, that I wanted to ask you. But so we've got the main cast all back, but to me, it feels like even though that's so amazing, I want more. Like I want more. And I'm thinking, who should they have added that's not on that list? And I wanted to get your opinion first. Who do you think from TNG? Because we obviously, if we could say like Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like we'd have our grab bag of people we want. But like from TNG, who is not on that list that you wish was on that list?
Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher. Get him in there.
Yeah, I agree. Considering he's so involved with like the Ready Room and doing all of the interviews and such with the cast, makes me sad that he's not part of this. And he actually went to Twitter and to his own, like he has his own website, which is like basically a blog of sorts. And he provided some fan fiction of how he could come back to Star Trek Picard season 3. And I loved it. So I completely agree. I would say Will Wheaton would be the person who I would want to bring back, him or Reginald Barclay. Lieutenant Barclay was so much fun.
Yeah.
I always liked him and his fear of transporters and everything. So he'd be fun to bring back into the fold. Moving on, but also related to Paramount Plus, we talked about this briefly the other day. But now officially, for those that are interested, this news came out on the 6th, so just a couple days ago. But Star Trek, the Motion Picture Director's Edition, which is the 4K remaster, is available for streaming on the Paramount Plus streaming service. So if you are interested and want to see the very first Star Trek film, then you're going to want to make sure you've got a Paramount Plus subscription. I don't know if I want to watch this movie anytime soon because I saw it within maybe 4 months ago. And because we reviewed it on Geek So to Speak.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it was rough. I don't love this movie. I just don't like it that much. It's not horrible, but it doesn't even hold a candle to the movies that followed. So it's a tough one for me to go back and like physically sit through. But if it comes to it, and we will one day on TREKnological review this movie. So definitely stay tuned for that in the distant future. And the last bit of news that I have for you is related to this. Actually just dropped maybe like an hour ago. I like had to add it as soon as I saw it. But Star Trek Strange New Worlds is going to establish Spock's full name in canon. So his name is not just Spock. There's more to it. And I wanted to ask you Vactor, if I could, if you want to take a guess, a stab at what you think his full name is.
It'll be Trent Schaffman Spock. That will be his full name.
If only, that would be fun. No, his full name is Gigachad Blaine Spock. No.
What?
No, I can't even pronounce his full name. It's and I'm going to totally butcher this, so don't get mad at me, fans out there, Trekkies and everything, but it's Sachin Tagayu Spock. Tune into Strange New Worlds to find out how bad I was in that pronunciation. Because there's no way that's right, but that is
5 times fast, Shaw.
That is what it looks like, at least. So look forward to that. All right, Co-Captain Factor, I think I'm going to set a course for our episode recap. Maximum warp.
Aye, sir. Course laid in.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Okay, so we are going to be talking today about episode 6 of season 2 of Star Trek Picard. The episode is called 2 of 1. And the official synopsis of this one is, with the help of Talon, I forget how you pronounce her name, Picard and the crew infiltrate a gala on the eve of a joint space mission to protect one of the astronauts they believe to be integral to the restoration of the timeline, Renee Picard. Corey makes a startling discovery about her father's work. So, Vactor, I gotta say, this to me is the least interesting episode and the least gripping episode of the season so far. Like, they've had so many bangers. They've had so many great episodes. And I knew it was only a matter of time before we had one that was just kind of like, it's okay. It's not great.
Right.
But this is that one for me. I don't know. How did you feel?
Yeah, I was the same way. And I would say this was the first and hopefully the only one that when the cliffhanger hits, I was not, okay, give me the next one. I was not fiending for the next hit of Star Trek. And I hadn't felt like that way the whole season. Every episode I've been like, oh, yes. Oh, it's over already? Oh, no. Give me the next one. This one, I was like, all right, that was something. All right, now let me go watch Halo or let me go watch something else. I finished Picard. So I think this one was probably the slowest one and also the least interesting one out of all of them.
See, and the structure of the episode, so we find out, like, as the episode starts, we see that Picard is laying down on the ground. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. Everyone's concerned about him. They're all like, we need to get help. And then, like, of course, they do the however many hours earlier. Yeah. And so we know that the episode is going to lead to this moment. And I kind of hate when episodes do this, when shows do this, because all we're doing the entire episode is saying, oh, is this the moment? Is this when it's going to happen? Is this when he's going to get hurt and fall over, break his hip? And that kind of takes away the like, I'm just watching this because I'm invested in these characters. Like it makes it into a shtick, and a gimmick. And I don't like that kind of storytelling. So for me, that was kind of like a bummer from the start.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely like glimmers of cool stuff happening in this episode. I think one of the highlights for me is Girardi. Every episode, Alison Pill just continues to prove to me how great an actress she is and how much fun she is and how much she owns this character of Agnes Girardi. And to hear her sing...
We're riding with the shadows after night. Baby, take my hand, you'll be all right. Surrender all your dreams to me tonight. They'll come true in the end.
I had no clue she had
pipes
talent at all singing. You know, in Scott Pilgrim, she was a drummer and she didn't like sing at all. I'd never heard her sing in any other place. So when I first heard it, my ears perked up and I was like, wait a minute. And then when I saw it was her, I was like, oh, they replaced her voice, you know, it's someone else singing. But then as it went on, I was like, wait a minute, I think that's actually her. And then they confirmed it in the ready room. So I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a standout moment for me in this episode.
There was a moment for me where I was like, how would she know the lyrics to this song? I was like, she's not from the 20th century.
Right.
Like there's no way she should know Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, she's she's being right now, she's driven by the Borg Queen who has access to any database, whatever. So, that's where this is coming from. And so that was really cool. And that made sense. I really felt like she was teaching a masterclass on how to be herself and how to be herself, but boosted by the Borg Queen.
Yeah. Right.
And that was just really fun to watch her. And obviously none of the rest of the cast knows this about her yet. So it's an interesting dramatic irony that we are privy to, and the rest of the cast has no clue that she is basically 2 of 1.
Right.
So
yeah, that was just a great performance by her.
Really, really cool. The fact that we were building up to Picard literally getting run over by Brent Spiner's Adam Soong, like
in a Tesla.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was stupid. Like I almost found myself kind of laughing. Like it was just like, I understand like he's determined to figure out like the cure for, or like get Q's help with, solving the problem that is Corey's condition. But I just like, it was just weird to me the way it was set up. It was just kind of funny. I know the intent was to sort of create this like Picard as a hero, but it just felt weird, and running over like an old man to me I don't know. It doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. He's a frail old man.
My wife was walking by. She wasn't watching the episode with me, but she was walking by and saw that moment when he got hit by the car. And actually, I had called her over because I was like, look, there's a Tesla, because we have a Tesla. So I said, look, there's a Tesla on screen. And when he hit her, she what? He ran over him? What? That was her reaction. So I just started laughing.
Yeah.
Because it is quite ridiculous, and just kind of out of nowhere. That moment, like you said, leading up to it, you're like, oh, why was his nose bleeding? Why was he on the ground? Never did I think, out of all the possibilities, oh yeah, he's going to get hit by a Tesla. That's why he's on the ground and not conscious. And my wife also said in that moment, imagine him coming into work and being like, look, you just got to lay down right now. Just lay down, either on the ground or in your hospital bed. Just lay down.
Can you just lay down? We're going to have some ketchup spilling out of your mouth. I hope you're okay with that. Another big reveal, which I kind of felt like I saw coming, and we talked about this, I want to say, in one of the previous episodes, but this introduction of Corey, who's Adam Soong's daughter.
Yes.
Like I remember in a previous episode, I was like, something's off. She's asking about her mom. She looks like Soji. She looks like Daj from the first season of Picard, and obviously this is many years later in the future that this likeness is happening. So I'm like, there's something going on here, and I wasn't thinking that she was like an android, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what she was because I didn't feel like there was a mom in the picture, or at least not one that had been around for quite some time.
Right.
And this episode confirmed my suspicions, which is that she is a clone of, and I don't know how many clones. They didn't really put a number to it, but they definitely had a bunch of names for the various versions of Corey that Adam Soong has been basically cloning and recloning her, trying to solve this genetic abnormality. And I mean, that's a huge bomb to be dropped on somebody.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you found out you were a clone of someone who looked like you many generations ago? Like, and I gotta wonder, like, is she aging quickly? Like, is she? Otherwise, like, did the other ones die young? Like, has she lasted a lot longer? Like, I'm just curious about those things, and I kind of want to know those things.
Yeah, and also it was kind of weird because the same day that this one came out. We're not a Halo podcast, but in the Halo episode, there was also a clone storyline where it was a clone person talking to the original. And that got me thinking, what if I was the clone? This is also a Spider-Man storyline. What if I was the clone and I have the exact same memories, but the other guy is the original, but you have all the memories of the original. So you're thinking you're the original. And then I just went cross-eyed, Shuff. I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if I was a clone? And so it was funny to start thinking about all of that stuff. And it has the similarity of Brent Spiner playing all the Soong relatives and playing Data. So that was kind of a cool tie-in. But I just thought it was kind of weird when she didn't have the memories at first. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And like you said, no images of the mom and nothing to signify that she ever had a mom. So it was all kind of weird, but in that evil mad scientist way, Dr. Soong, Brent Spiner actually did a great job in his role as Soong. But I was just kind of, I was like you, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Trying to figure it out. And the reveal of it was kind of made me laugh too, because they had the really bad Photoshop photos on a lot of them.
You're right. You're so right.
Laughing.
I was like, they didn't even try. They didn't even try. It looks like they were working off of Microsoft Paint or something like that.
Let me just say,
we gotta do a cut job here.
Shoff, I saw a better job of this on your Photoshop of your face on your daughter's body on Instagram. That was a better Photoshop than what they did in this episode. So
you can shout out to Wonder Rob for that one. He made that possible.
That was weird, but I liked, like I said, Brent Spiner's performance in that one, and just seeing him kind of chew the scenery.
Yeah. Do you think that Rios is going to stay behind?
That, like they were saying, when you have any type of love across, decades or across time, it's very difficult. So either he's going to bring her with him back to the future, or he's going to stick around. So I could see either one of those happening.
And I think you're right. Like, think about Star Trek IV Voyage Home. Kirk ends up bringing that scientist, the marine biologist, back with him, but she doesn't have anybody, that's going to be like missing her or anything. So she goes to the future and she becomes basically an expert in humpback whales, which is what they need because they had been extinct and everything.
You think about Back to the Future 3, when Doc Brown goes back and brings Mary Steenburgen back to the future, and you're messing up a lot of timelines there. You're causing a lot of butterfly effects by taking somebody who was supposed to die or somebody who had their own destiny back in the past and then bringing them to the future.
Mm-hmm. See, and here's what, and personally, I think they're toying with that, but I don't think they're going to end up doing it. And here's the reason why is I think that they probably have plans to have a spin-off show that is a Captain Rios.
Oh,
spin-off.
wow.
Because, I mean, you don't make the Stargazer, you don't make an entirely new ship with no intentions of having future stuff happen with it. Like, I feel like Rios has got more to do, and everyone really likes him. So I think if you leave him in the past, that's such a missed storytelling opportunity. So I think the more likely thing is either he's bringing her and her son to the future, or he is recognizing that nothing can happen between the two of them. That's better off if he just goes back to the future. We've got to go back. And then down the road we get a spin-off show, because I would watch that. I think he'd be a really fun captain, because he's so casual. Like, he's not like stuffy or by the book. Like, he likes to kind of like think outside the lines. So
right, 100%. And we already got the tease, like we talked about earlier in this episode, of season 3. Maybe season 3 is going to all be focused on the original cast. We saw Picard getting his uniform out. Maybe that's the focus, and we leave this cast, the season 1 and 2 Picard cast. Maybe they either go off on their own adventures or they get their own spin-offs, but we don't know. We'll see what happens with the next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think if there's anything else notable. Oh, there was one thing that stood out to me. There's one moment when Talon is talking to Picard, and she curses, but she curses in Romulan.
Right.
Because I had the subtitles on and it says like curses in Romulan.
Yes.
And I was like, what? First of all, how would she know Romulan? And second of all, how like her character is Romulan in the future. So like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I thought he was going to say something. Picard was going to say something. And I also had the subtitles on as well. And I was like, wait a minute. So that caused my eyebrow to raise, but I didn't think anything else after that.
Yeah. So and it really went right by him. Like
Yeah,
it went over
right.
his head.
Right.
And I was like, that why would she do that? Like that's purposeful. You don't just
Yes.
do that.
Right.
Especially if she's been talking English this whole time and never once uttered Romulan.
Yeah.
But now she says Romulan. So
Yeah.
like that to me, I'm like, ooh, maybe she is Laris.
There's
but
that.
she doesn't know it yet because
Right.
she's. But then the question is
Maybe she got her
she
mind
really
wiped.
Romulan?
Mhm.
I saw an article the other day and it said that she was Elorian, and I'm like, I don't know that they've ever said that. They never said that she herself is Elorian.
Yeah, not that I picked up on. So yeah, I'm there's a lot of mysteries still left for the remaining episodes. Her part, Q's part, and then what is like the Borg Queen part. There's those three,
Yeah.
I think, mysteries of how are they going to get out of this, and also what they just haven't revealed enough information. What's going on with Q's powers? What's his end game? What is he trying to do?
Why would he want them to go to the past to stop him from causing a divergence in the
Right.
timeline? Like he's working against them in the past, but in the future he was like helping them. I
Yeah.
just like it,
Yeah.
it almost feels like there's two Qs out there. Like
Right.
it doesn't feel like, is he trying to stop himself? Has he already done this damage? And now he's like, has a second thought. He's like, oh no, I want to help them, but I've already like done the damage. I just like, it's baffling to me. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
And
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't get it, but that just keeps me really invested and really engaged. So yeah. Speaking of the characters this week that surprised us, and we were talking about Adam Soong and also all the other iterations of the Soongs from the 21st century on to the 24th, 25th centuries. That's going to be our Trek term of the week. So check out our social media because we'll be sharing our Trek term ideally on Tuesdays, but I forgot this past week because it was my birthday and I was just like focused on birthday stuff. But we'll be sort of extrapolating the Soongs and going into a little more detail on some of the various versions of him and his descendants that we've seen over the years. So as far as any like life update stuff going on for you, Vactor, anything you wanted to share?
Not that I can think of. Like I said, I'm celebrating Shaf's birthday, and then I'm also thinking about my birthday coming up. Just a lot of birthday wishes and birthday thoughts that I'm thinking of.
Nice. Well, I was at the comic book shop the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw a book there, and it was called Star Trek Coda. And it's I was kind of reading up on it because I hate to do that. I hate to say this, but when I go to the comic book shop, I always feel inclined to check and see if the prices are really jacked up by comparison to like getting a physical copy, say, on Amazon. And
Right.
I hate that I do that, but
Yeah.
I've got to look at the numbers first.
Yeah.
You know, I want to support local businesses, but not if they're gonna, really screw me over on cost.
I was just talking about this today with friend of the show, Ben Songer. We were talking about wanting to support local comic shops, but then also when the price is cheaper online, I'm 99% of the time going to buy it online.
Right. Yeah. It's a tough position to be in. But they were saying the reviews on Amazon were saying, hey, this book is really good, but if you really like this book, then you're going to love Star Trek Destiny. And so I went on Amazon and I found Star Trek Destiny and I picked it up. And of course, it's not going to show up on here because I've got, not that you guys can see this, but we're currently sitting on the bridge of a starship. And because of the Zoom background, we can't see it. But anyways, it's got a picture of Ezri Dax on the front. It's book one, so it's a trilogy. And it involves Picard, RECUR, and Ezri Dax sort of their fates intertwining and going on this like crazy adventure deep in the Gamma Quadrant. So it takes place half a decade after the Dominion War and more than a year after the rise and fall of Shinzon. So this is like a year after the events of Nemesis. So
Nice.
So I'm going to read this. I haven't started it yet. I've been meaning to, but that's the only big Trek news I've got for the past week. So
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at the three covers, book 1, book 2, and book 3, and it has all those characters you just mentioned. So yeah, this is interesting.
yeah, it's by David Mack. So if you're interested, if you're a Trekkie, I'll kind of follow up as I read more and see if I'm really enjoying it. But I'll say this: William Shatner is an excellent Star Trek author, and if you haven't read the William Shatner Star Trek books, all of his Captain Kirk trilogies, he's got like 2 or 3 trilogies. I've read them all; they're all great, and I highly recommend them. So.
Very nice.
With that, we thank you so much for listening to TREKnological this week. Of course, if you would like to find us on social media, we are at TREKnopod. That's TREKNOPOD, and that's on Instagram and Twitter. And then on YouTube, you can find us at TREKnological. We are, again, part of the Geek So to Speak podcast network, which has Geek So to Speak, The Holdo Maneuver, Sandbox Gamers, and Vactor Loves Comics, as well as ourselves, TREKnological. If you're looking at listening to any of the other podcasts that we've got, probably the easiest way to find that would be to go to our website, which is www.geekso2speak.com. And then if you put a /network, that'll actually bring you directly to our network page so you can see all the shows. And it will provide links to each of those various show pages. So it makes it real easy. One thing Vactor and I know is that Star Trek is something that you inherit from family, inherit from friends. So we would ask this of you. If there's any kind of a call to action that we can make, it's that please, if you're a Star Trek fan, chances are someone else in your family is too, and maybe that person got you into it. But now please do that favor and repay that favor by introducing our podcast to them as well, because we would really love to help build this podcast and make it something really fantastic, but we're going to need your help to make that possible. So thank you so much for that. Now, next week, we're going to continue our recap, our review of Star Trek Picard Season 2.
Yeah.
And we've got, 5 more episodes?
Man, I cannot wait, Shaw, for
it's going to be
Brave New
great.
World.
And then Strange New Worlds, starts up on May 5th.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's we don't have a lot of time. Less than a month until Strange New Worlds. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So all right, Co-Captain Vactor, I believe our mission of the week is complete. Shoff and Vactor here, 2 to beam up.
Live long and prosper.